Welcome, everyone. This is our full moon in Libra moon celebration event, co-hosted by me, Valerie, and our astrologer, Robin Poole. And this event, the way we run this event is, I had to think of what I was saying. Let me do the, wait. Let me do the guidelines. Throw unicorns and coffee guidelines. We only have two, real quick, real short, y'all. I'm looking over the room. I think all of y'all have heard these before. Love and light always. Hold yourself in love and light, and hold everyone else in this group, in this joining together in love and light as well through the entirety of this presentation. And the second rule is don't start no shit, won't be no shit. Robin and I are the only designated shit starters for the evening. Everyone else, y'all just get to play along and enjoy whatever we start up this evening. Afternoon, y'all, it was 84 degrees today. 84. And I just spilled my drink that I was going to show you. One moment. It was 84 degrees and I went and got a Slurpee. Yay. Okay. Slurpee made me happy. It's my little kid coming out to play. So the way this event works, we like to celebrate the moon and her gloriousness. So we talk a little bit about the moon and her energies, and we also talk about where the moon is currently placed in the sky, which is in Libra. And we talk a little bit about Libra energies and how we can personally make the most of this full moon in Libra, because we have an amazing astrologer, Robin Poole, with us. She's also going to give us some insight into what else is going on astrologically in the skies that might be affecting us at the time of the full moon in Libra. With all of that being said, Robin does have beautiful earrings on today. With all of that being said, we kind of hand it off back and forth to each other. And so we will go ahead and just get into the presentation. Before we do that, I'm going to give it over to Robin. Robin's going to get us grounded really quickly so we can all come together.
Thank you, Valerie. And thank you for admiring my earrings. These make me feel very cosmic because they have like all the stars on them and the crystals and the pearls for the moon. So there's tons of amazing cosmic energy. No, these came from a mall in Mexico City, actually. It was like the equivalent of like the teeny bopper store in Mexico City, but I was like, I just couldn't resist them. I felt led by spirit to purchase the teeny bopper star earrings in Mexico City. All right, let's get ourselves together here. Okay, so I invite you to join me in closing your eyes, centering yourself in your chair or wherever you're sitting. And let's just let the cares and worries of the world and the moment fall away for now. And if you want to pick any of them up later, if you think they're important, you can visualize a basket next to your feet and pick them back up at the end of our session. But I invite you to engage in some cosmic self-care with me and Valerie and the rest of us, and just take a few minutes for yourself here to really check in with how you want to grow, how we can use the moon's energies to help us ascend and evolve, and just understand how much spirit nurtures us and loves us and how much the world is there for us. So if you want to center yourself in your heart and imagine a warm glow light in the center of you, and feel your energies going down to ground yourself in the energy of the earth, like roots from the bottom of a tree down through your feet. And maybe you want to relax any guards or tension you have and let your energy flow out horizontally into the landscape around you, the trees and the rocks and the river. And maybe you might want to send some energy up through the top of your head and ground into the sky. I guess that's opposite of grounding. You want to anchor into the sky, into the stars, into the moon herself, into your cosmic home if you feel like you have another home besides your home here on Earth. We'll just let our energy expand, relax, and anchor into the beauty of the natural world above us and below us and all around us. And you can take a moment to set whatever intention it is that is your reason for being here today. What are you hoping to get out of this? Is it just a break? Is it insight? Is it encouragement on your spiritual path? Is it the power of a ritual or tapping into the cosmic energies to make changes that you already know you need to make? Or maybe you're not sure what you want to change, what your next step is. You can put your hand on your chest. Thank your inner self for participating. Ask to open any guards that are inside of you so that the nurturing message today can really seep in. And I want to take a moment to thank any positive energies that are with us today, our ancestors, spirit, guides, God, the Holy Spirit, any animals that are present to help us feel supported and loved and grounded and nurtured and accompanied on our path. And we'll just set our protective filter that filters out any negative energies. Feel free to kick out any voices or energies or presences that are not what you want on this path. You are sovereign. And I'm going to set my second intention, which is that all of us can get whatever is for our own highest good here, and that we'll feel perfectly fine and powerful to release any energies that aren't for our highest good. And that as we join together in this safe space, we will nurture and support each other. But when we leave, we won't leave with any sort of energies that are clinging on to us from somebody else that aren't for our own highest good. This is a safe space to be honest, to ask questions, to see the light of spirit on our faces. And then we'll all leave refreshed and centered and renewed with some great ideas and inspiration and encouragement for our continuing path until we meet again 2 weeks from now and have more fun with the moon. Thank you to everybody for being here. We'll just take a couple deep breaths and center ourselves into our own energy. There's one deep breath. Another one. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and we'll get started. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we will get right into the presentation. Let me get my screen up. It's taking a little while, y'all. I hope I did that right. Yay, there we go. Full moon in Libra. So the first thing, as always, we're just going to talk about the full moon all by itself, the full moon and its energy. So full moons present us with the opportunity to wrap projects up and bring them to completion. This can be things that we set in motion under the last new moon, which was the new moon in Aries a couple of weeks ago, or this can be things that we set in motion under the last new moon that was in Libra, which is about 6 months ago. So I always like to give you that reference point because a lot of times we think that we only have this set finite small amount of 2 weeks to set an intention and see it come to fruition, and that's not true. We use these energies, but we're always setting intentions and allowing manifestations, but it just amplifies and magnifies our ability to work with these energies and bring things about in a more powerful way when we sync them up with the moon energies. And we can do that from the 2 week period or from a longer period of when it was last in Libra and when it is in Libra again. So with that being said, these opportunities can show up as culmination points because we're talking about the full moon, breaking points, and or chances for us to release what is no longer serving us. These are all things that we can work with doing while we have this upcoming full moon. So Libra energy, because our full moon is happening in the zodiac sign of Libra, let's talk a little bit about what Libra energies bring to the table. Table. Libra is a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are the initiators of the zodiac. That gives these energies a dynamic, take charge kind of vibe. Libras hate conflict and they strive to bring everything and everyone into balance. Speaking of everyone, Libra rules the 7th house, which is mainly concerned with long-term relationships with others. So while Libra's strength is also to bring things internally into balance, they also have the advantage of working on long-term relationships with others and helping those relationships to stay in balance as well. So go in business with the Libra because they're very balanced. Just a tip. which is why Libra is not only concerned with internal balance, like I was saying, but they also feel called to make sure their dealings with others are balanced. Can't we all just get along could very well be one of Libra's mantras. A little bit more about Libra energy. Libra's ruling planet is Venus, the love goddess. This Venus vibe makes Libras particularly interested in beautiful things and artistic pursuits. Libra is also an air sign, cardinal air sign. And the best way to describe how Libras represent the air element is to think social butterfly, as they fly through the air, being a beautiful, lighthearted social butterfly, spreading love and balance and wanting everyone to enjoy themselves. Some other things going on in the sky during this full moon in Libra. First thing we're going to talk about very briefly is a trine to Saturn. Now, Saturn, Saturn, the planet, is about commitment and boundaries, among other things. And Libra, as we mentioned, ruling the seventh house is about relationships. So with this trine to Saturn, you could sense a pull to define your relationships more clearly. That's about setting boundaries and commitment, even making deeper or new commitments to your partner. Now, I don't want you to think just love relationships. This could also be business relationships, family relationships, any long-term relationship. And by long-term, I mean someone that you consider near and dear to your heart, not a casual acquaintance. Second thing going on is a square to Pluto. So when I say square to Pluto, what I'm talking about is our full moon in Libra, if you were to see it on a chart, is squared to where Pluto is located in the sky. Squares are challenging aspects. So Pluto, among other things, is about transformation. And as this full moon pulls all of our emotions to the surface, we've talked about this before, full moons are the time where it brings emotions to the surface. We might find ourselves being more emotional. This could be on, if we put this in a positive aspect, even though it's a square, and even though squares are challenging, we try to find that nugget of positivity. And we could say that this could be a time to feel more empowered about changing the direction, that transformation of our relationships with Libra, so that they feel more balanced and aligned. So that's how we can look at it. Knowing that we're going into this challenging aspect, knowing that our emotions are going to be on high, we can still try to find the nugget of how can we work with this challenging aspect to bring more balance and alignment into our life. The third thing that I want to point out is that Mercury currently is going to be moving into a conjunction with Uranus. Uranus. On the night of the full moon, Mercury, the planet of communication, and Uranus, the planet of radical change and breakthroughs, move into a conjunction. A conjunction is favorable, making this a time of electrifying brainstorms, communication, and paradigm shifting conversations. You know, when you sit down and you talk to your best friend about something that you may have talked about 20 times, but somebody says something during that conversation and you're just like, oh my God, this is a time of aha moments, but not just aha moments that make you think, but aha moments that can really change the direction of where you're going with your life so that you can move into a more balanced way or state of being. I think that might be what I want to stop with. That is what I want to stop with. As far as the screens, I'm just giving you a brief overview because I know the wonderful Robin is going to go into more in depth, but I do want to go into our lovely reference of Miss Yasmin Bolin, the Moonology book, and see what she has to say about this full moon in Libra. Isn't that a beautiful picture? I love the little pathway there, and the little Libra scales in front of the full moon. So this is what the Moonology deck says about this. And this particular deck is focused on manifesting. So it's different from her other deck. Focusing on your own wants and needs is understandable. We all need to look after ourselves. However, this card suggests you need to find balance between what you need versus what someone else needs. Walk a mile in their shoes. Once you understand where they're coming from and why, then you can take action. If you've been through a worrying time, including regarding your health, this card reminds you to find the right people for help. Make up your own mind about your situation rather than being too influenced by others. Some additional notes: find a balance between your own needs and what you do for others. Remember that we're all co-creating, so getting other people on your side by being understanding is a win-win. An affirmation you might want to say to yourself during this full moon: there is love all around me and I am lovable. Ooh, I like that one. One more thing I'm going to read from the wonderful Yasmin Bolin is right from her Moonology diary for this year. And it's what she has to say on the full moon in Libra, which I thought about paraphrasing, but she says it better. So we're going to read it straight from her book. Libra is the relationship-oriented sign of the zodiac. So this full moon provides a yardstick for how well our relationships are going. If you've been forcing a relationship, this might be the time it blows up. If you're in a newish relationship and all is going well, now might be when you take it to the next level. If you're in an established relationship, think of it as another notch on your relationship belt. This year's full moon in Libra is extra lovely because it takes place ahead of some beautiful and harmonious alignments between Mercury, Venus, and Uranus. So happy love events may happen quickly now. Romance is in the air. The only concern is that the full moon itself is clashing with Pluto. We talked about that a little bit. So if there are issues in one of your most important relationships, then they need attention, and now would be a good time to turn your attention to them. There could be power struggles which get no one anywhere, so live consciously and intentionally. If you're in a relationship with a lot of negativity, now is also the time to deal with that. Whatever happens now could bring about a crisis, but one that may prove to be healing one way or another. Pluto is also the detox planet, so work through any toxicity now so it becomes easier to express your feelings. You may even want to give the person you care about a lovely surprise. Now, this is a little bit off, but I got this message as I was reading this. The message might be for me, it might be for the group at large. When I was reading about toxicity, again, I'm getting a very hard message that could also relate to our own health. So paying more attention to your health. There are things that we eat that make us sluggish, that make us lose sleep, that make us not feel like ourselves, which could contribute to us being grumpy old farts when we go into our relationships and try to deal with others. So take a moment to look at how you're caring for yourself. Of course, this toxicity in the book was talking about spiritual or emotional level toxicity, but it could also be dealing with your own personal health and how your health might be affecting your emotions at this time as well. So that's all I have as, nope, I don't. I have this little note here that I was supposed to read. Let me see. It was back on the screen that is still up when it talks about Mercury conjunct, I'm gonna just keep fucking that up. Uranus. Mercury conjunct Uranus. And it talked about using this time to have electrifying brainstorms and paradigm shifting conversations. It could also be a time, because it's dealing with relationships. If you are in a relationship with your partner, this would be a good time to have those steamy, sensual fantasy conversations. It says share new and novel ideas in this realm because you have Venus supporting you at this time to kind of spice up your love life. You also, outside of the bedroom, outside of your partnership, you also could make headway on a creative project with a colleague or figure out a healing new way forward with a loved one or friend. So that's what I have on the full moon and Libra energies and how they can work together to help us during this time. And checking the chat real quick, and I'm going to turn it over to Robin.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was a lovely discussion of basic Libra energies. And Valerie's absolutely right about some of those trines and conjunctions coming up. This is a cool time in the sky. There's really interesting stuff going on here right now. I mentioned that I had a lot of chronic health problems, and that sort of sluggishness and just lack of energy And then I did a medieval humor analysis for myself, which recommended a different set of foods. It's not a diet, it's just like more of this. And oddly, it recommended like a lot of the things that standard diet advice says you're not supposed to have. So like it recommended more salt, more sweetness, and more healthy fats. And I changed my diet and I have much more energy and feel a lot better now. So I put some information in the chat about that. And if you just send me an email, I can do one for you, or I can email you the directions. There's a website with directions on how to do it. It's not terribly difficult, but it's made a huge difference for me. So again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian. I'm not recommending that you go against something official that somebody said, but I can just say for me and for many of my clients, it's been a game changer. So yeah. Oh, yes. Okay. So the other thing that came to me to say about this is that Libra, from my experience, every astrology sign has kind of like the standard manifestation, and then it has like the higher level manifestation. And I'll just mention this because the standard manifestation for Libra, everything that Valerie said is totally true, but it can, because it's so focused on harmony and and balance and getting along with others, there can be like a people pleasing aspect, especially if you have a lot of Libra planets. It can be hard to set boundaries. You can become somebody who wants to just say yes to other people. And then the other challenging side of Libra is it can be very focused on what's like socially pleasing or aesthetically or culturally pleasing. And I always think for Libra of those old like Hollywood glamour shots where the women had their perfect makeup and there wasn't a hair out of place and the lighting was ideal. And every time I put on makeup or fuss with my earrings, I always think of Libra. And so today I really want to talk about what I perceive anyway as the higher manifestation of Libra, which is figuring out what you think is beautiful, not saying, oh, I've got to wear makeup the way people on TikTok put it on, right? Or the idea of how can I please myself and also get along with other people? Not like, okay, well, I'm so focused on getting along with others that I'm going to end up sacrificing myself to do it. So I'm really encouraging us here to think of Libra as building our own idea of beauty and harmony, coming up with our own aesthetic about what's pleasing to us, thinking about what we want to have in relationships, and then working to build relationships that nurture ourselves and others. And don't get so focused on pleasing the outside world or satisfying other requirements that you then lose track of who you are, because that's kind of the trap that Libra can fall into. I have Uranus and Pluto in Libra, so I'm well aware of this particular trap. Yeah, there's a lot of power for me from Libra, but I've really had to learn to use it for myself and others and not for others instead of myself. Okay, that's my little Libra soapbox there. Do you want to chime in on that, Valerie, or should I start my presentation?
No, I love that. That was all, yeah. I saw some of that too, and I was like, how do I, no, I know Robin will cover it. How do I put it in my, nope, I know Robin will cover it. The negative aspects of, there is one thing I want to say. When we talk about negative aspects of each sign, I want everyone, as I was reading through those negative aspects, when it was talking about people pleasing and, you know, how that can be to my detriment, I was thinking, well, I'm a Sagittarius and I have some of those same things. So it's not specific to the sign, but it's amplified for those signs. So all of us can take these tips and apply them to any times in our life where we've dipped into the being overly people pleasing or whatnot. So listen up, even if you're not a Libra, this probably applies to some aspect of your life too.
Right. I noticed Rowan mentioned here in the chat having Mars in Libra. So Mars is in detriment in Libra because Libra is the pretty get along sign and Mars is the hot and sweaty and dirty fight for yourself planet. And it is challenging when you have a planet in detriment like this. Valerie and I both have our moon in Capricorn, which is the similar sort of situation. But I will tell you that there are always gifts to planets in detriment. And Mars in Libra is amazing at fighting for others who need it. It's great for like riding to the rescue of people who are being oppressed or abused or challenged. You just got to put yourself in that category so that you are the person who deserves to be fought for, along with all of the suffering multitudes that you want to help. And Rowan, if you want some tips, you can email me on how to work with your Mars. Wearing red, working with Mars stones can really help you build up those Mars energies. So I am with you on the challenge of a planet in detriment, but it's not a life sentence. And there are many ways that you can learn to love this. And in fact, today's ritual might really help you because we're going to talk about learning to love yourself today. on my ritual. That's what came through for me. I love you guys. You guys are so amazing. I'm so grateful to be able to talk with you about this stuff and share it. Okay, so I'm starting my presentation here. Somebody chime in and tell me if you lose me and I freeze, and I'll just start back over again. And if you have questions, I'll stop periodically and Valerie will read them to me out of the chat. All right, so can you guys all see my screen here, hopefully? Somebody has to verbally say yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So this is the view out my backyard. This is taken from my dining room window. And don't get me wrong, this is an amazing view. I feel super grateful to live on the river, and the ocean is just beyond those trees in the background. And we have lots of birds here and elk in the backyard. It's really amazing. But this is kind of like the standard view. It's a rental house. And so we have all this garden stuff that's been left by tenants in the past. And the other night, 2 days ago, I went to bed and I woke up with my husband standing ominously next to my bed at 2 a.m. And he said, honey, something happened. And I, of course, was instantly like, oh no, somebody said something. Is there a car accident? Like, what happened? And he said, it snowed overnight. You should come and look. And so I got up, and this is what we saw out the back window. And you know, we live near the ocean in Oregon, and now it's the middle of April. You don't expect snow. You expect a lot of rain. In fact, we've had hail in the last few days. But there was like this otherworldly landscape with the snow, and there's this power plant across the river and all these lights and the fog. And I'm like, oh my gosh, our landscape was like transformed. And I knew that by the time I woke up the following morning, all of this would be gone because it wasn't going to stay below freezing the following day. And I'm like, this is exactly what this moon in Libra is about. It's about uncovering these beautiful, fleeting, hidden parts of yourself that if you get up at 2 a.m. and you look inside of yourself, you can see like a whole different landscape with a whole new type of beauty. Not that your current landscape isn't beautiful, but it really made me think, what is it that's hiding inside of us? What is the view? What are these alternative parts of ourselves that maybe we don't appreciate or we don't value? But how can we learn to see them and appreciate their beauty and bring them out? That's really what Spirit's been talking to me about. So I titled this full moon, Libra full moon, Uncovering Your Cosmic Beauty. And it actually turns out that both tropically and sidereally, it's in Libra because it's at the very end of Libra. It's Libra, I think 26 degrees of Libra. So when we subtract our 24 degrees to get to the actual sky, it's still in Libra. So this is a double-barrel dose of this Libra energy. And you'll see why in a few minutes, why I call it the cosmic beauty, because there's a big cosmic influence coming in right now. All right. So any so far, are we good?
We're good.
Great. So I just want everybody who wants to take a moment, you can put your hand on your chest. Let's just go inside of ourselves for a second and just ask yourself, is there anything about me that I haven't been feeling lately? I haven't been feeling it. I'm not feeling like this is a beautiful, acceptable, lovable part of me. That great quote, I am lovable. Is there any part of you that you're like, I just don't feel this thing about me is lovable? Maybe it's a long-time personality trait that you struggle with, like Mars and Libra, or I'm stubborn, or I'm not organized enough. Or maybe it's something new that's come up lately. That's what happened to me. Spirit's been revealing new parts of me, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about being this way. I don't want to be this way. This feels weird. This feels wrong. And if you'd like to put it in the chat, this part of yourself that you would like to learn to feel better about and to work with and to appreciate. Somebody can stick something in for me. Just put my name, Robin. Maybe Val can do this for me, Robin. And I would like to feel more lovable and acceptable for the starseed, interstellar soul parts of me. That's my intention, is to learn to love those parts and not feel like they're weird and everybody's going to think I'm crazy if I talk about them. So just write that down or make a mental note. And if nothing comes up for you, the moon's not till April 16th. So you got a few days to think about it, but just what is it that you want to feel more lovable about? So if we look at this, here's the chart of the moon in a couple of days. You can ask yourself these questions. What feels beautiful or harmonious for you, right? We're not getting stuck in all the society standards about what's beautiful or what the perfect relationship looks like, being the submissive wife or the strong, manly husband or whatever, what is beautiful for you? You might have to go back to when you were a kid and what felt beautiful. And then just ask yourself, how do you create more of that for yourself and others? That's the other Libra trap we want to avoid. Either I'm pleasing others or I'm pleasing myself. We want to figure out how you can please yourself and also please others at the same time, not in a subservient way, but in a providing, beautiful experiences or harmonious feelings for others and yourself. Wherever Libra is in your chart, that might affect where this is showing up in your life. I have Libra in the 8th house in my chart, so I've been doing a lot of shadow work and uncovering old parts of myself, which is an 8th house sort of thing to do. You can see we've got Libra, the full moon at 26, and then the sidereal sky is now, the actual sky is 24 degrees behind the tropical zodiac. So if we subtract that, we're at 2 degrees Libra. And I wanted to mention something. So right up here, this little thing that looks like the female sign with the horns is Mercury. And then this is Uranus right next to it. So a couple of days, I think maybe the day or two after the full moon, Mercury is going to be right on top of Uranus. And this is in the sign of Taurus. So you may have some uncomfortable conversations or realizations around your feeling of security. Don't be surprised if some stuff comes up that really threatens your security. But remember, you're a powerful creator and you can work through that if that happens. So if I blow up this portion of the zodiac, you can see that actually these two moon placements are in two different parts of Libra. The tropical is in the term of Venus, that's that portion of the zodiac, and it's in the decan that's ruled by Mercury. Decans are an ancient way of dividing up the sign into thirds, and each is ruled by a different planet. So we've got a Venus and a Mercury influence here in the tropical part of our placement. And then in the actual, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. In the actual sky, we're 24 degrees behind that, and we're looking at the term of Saturn and the decan of Venus. So you can see we've got a double Venus influence here, but we also have some influence from Mercury and some influence from Saturn, and that's going to help us figure out exactly how these energies are showing up in their lives. Any questions so far about the astrological placements?
Nope, I'm not seeing any questions.
Nope. Did anybody put anything in the chat that they want to feel better about themselves with?
Yes. So we do have some comments about that. Someone wants to love their shadow parts more instead of shoving them down.
Ooh, yeah.
Another person wants to feel more lovable about being male.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's so awesome.
And I think that's it.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. It just warms my heart that you guys are brave enough to put something in the chat, go on record. I think that spirit totally notices the power of the chat, right? And now we all know what to send positive energies to you for. That's amazing. Okay, so now that we understand we've got some Venus, we've got some Mercury, we've got some Saturn, along with this general sort of Libra energy about beauty and harmony and crafting a beautiful life. In our inner world, this is what we can expect to experience from this moon. Because of our Mercury influence, and because we've got this extra Venus, I titled this, What Communicates Your Version of Harmony and Beauty? This moon is not just about feeling harmonious and beautiful on the inside. That's part of it, but it's really about bringing that to the outside world. So my photo here is a set of Lenormand cards, which I designed and painted myself. And I use them to bring in messages from spirit about what I need to change in my world and how I can create a better life. And you can see that just in creating these, I've made them my version of beautiful and harmonious. They're very colorful. There's some metallic paint. There's some glitter on some of them. I really tried to create something that I would feel beautiful and harmonious when I'm working on. So if you want to think about that for yourself for a moment, what really communicates harmony and beauty to you? Maybe you love art. Libra is associated with performance arts and any sort of art that fits an outside standard. So if you're painting, portraits, or you're singing songs, or you're, doing a sculpture that's supposed to actually look like something, it's associated with like interior decorating. So if you want to make your bed and make it look beautiful, or rearrange the furniture in your room, or set up a beautiful display in your front window, all of these are very Libra sorts of activities. What creates and communicates to others harmony and beauty for you? And then as you begin to work on that, you're going to experience the outer results of our sidereal placement here. And our outer results are Saturn and then Venus again. Saturn is about, in addition, people think it's about boundaries and things like that, but I like to focus also on the aspect of Saturn that's really about letting things go. So what's going to happen is you work on communicating your own beauty, and that could be how you dress, what you eat, rearranging your house, having a beautiful conversation with somebody, journaling with glitter pens and stickers, taking a walk by the river. You're going to be letting go of whatever diminishes or dampens down your inner goddess. And I'm so glad we had somebody talk about wanting to feel better about being male, because men also have an inner goddess. And if you want to think about it as a divine feminine, you might prefer to think about it as your yin energy. Yang is the masculine, yin is the female. It's the energy inside you that lets, excuse me, lets beauty or attractiveness like bubble up from the inside. You're not going out there and taking over the world. You're receiving the beauty that the universe has to give to you. You're letting harmony bubble out of you. You're feeling attractive to yourself and to others, even if there isn't anybody else around to admire you. You're kind of like soaking in the beauty. If you think of a classic goddess like Venus, right? On her clamshell, surrounded by a beautiful world, having her inner beauty radiating. We're going to be letting go of all the things that prevent that inner beauty from coming out. And that's just important for people who identify as male, as it is for people who identify as female, and for people who identify as non-binary. This isn't about what gender you identify with. It's about the inner beauty that's inside of you. So that's where you're headed. Letting go of, releasing old stories, old habits, old patterns that say you can't experience your own attractiveness or your own harmony, or that you have to hide that from others. Any questions or comments on that so far?
Yeah, well, not specifically on this, but we do have some questions that have come up in chat.
Okay.
There were two people who said they had the same placements of Uranus and Pluto in Libra, and there was a question of, are the house placements different from person to person?
So the house placements, the answer is yes. That's the thing that's different. So I was born in 1972, and anybody who was born within a few years of 1972 has Pluto and Libra and Uranus. So if you're similar age to me, that's why you have that. So the house placement is different depending on your birth time, because the whole zodiac is like a clock and it kind of ticks forward by one house every 2 hours. So depending on when you were born, the house placement is different. And if you don't know your birth time and you want to pull a chart for yourself, you should just pick a birth time that's close to sunrise. So like 7 a.m. in the summer or 6 a.m. in the winter. That will put your sun in the first house. And that also is a very accurate chart for people who don't actually have a birth time. So that will determine what house Libra turns out to be in. If you do a solar chart, then the house that Libra is in is determined by the month that you were born in, because it's where Libra is relative to the sun at the time of year that was.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then only other comment, when you were referring to yin and yang, there was a comment that balancing both the yin and yang, they tend to let the yang take over. So they're working on that balancing aspect as well.
Yeah, so the Libra full moon is a great planet to work with bringing the yin aspect out of things. So you might focus on the more like receptive or meditative aspects of the ritual or the activities Val's going to recommend, not the going out and grabbing the world by the throat activities, but the sitting and letting things come to you. So asking for insight, doing divination. Divination, by the way, is a yin activity because you receive the insights, or going for a walk in nature and just letting something come to you, that sort of thing. If you have a lot of yang energy, you might find that you are good at receiving insights while exercising, because the exercising takes care of that extra energy you have. But then you can put your brain and your heart in a more passive state and just receive the insights that come to you. Great question. Yeah, awesome. And kudos to you, by the way, for being so self-aware and knowing that about yourself. So somebody asked me to bring back the horoscopes. So I did. I listened to my little elf who asked for the horoscope to come back. So this is based on your solar chart, but people also find that sometimes if you know your moon sign or your rising sign, you might get something out of the recommendation here. So this is a lunar horoscope of how this moon's energy is going to affect you based on wherever your sun sign is. So you guys can go and read them if you have it big enough on your screen. but I'm going to read through them for anybody who has a small screen or if people are visually impaired and want to hear it when they're watching the replay. Okay, so if you have an Aries sun, interact as the real you. Leverage your inner world in one-on-one and group relationships. It's time to really be authentic and to bring that out into your relationships. This moon is affecting you in your 7th house based on your sun, not your natal chart on your ascendant, based on your sun. This is in your 7th house. If you have a Taurus sun, the moon is in your 6th, and the 6th is the house of work. So be careful not to overwork. You may feel stressed, like you have a lot to do, but back up, be strategic, and focus on what is really going to enhance your career or your legacy. So don't get drawn into the to-do list, but think like big picture, what's really important for making progress in my career or the legacy I want to leave on this planet. If you have a Gemini sun, it is time to let the fun shine in. You have the moon in your 5th house, and so creativity is going to fuel your exploration and learning as you release old blocks. Take the binders off, stop limiting yourself, do some fun stuff, release old stories, and really enjoy this moon in your 5th house. If you have a Cancer sun, the moon is in your 4th, which is home and family. So cultivate nesting instincts and family harmony. Interpersonal friction leads to growth. You may have some interpersonal friction because of this Pluto square, but it's for the purpose of growing through those relationships. So if you have some family discord, don't walk away or hide yourself or shudder, find a way to work through that. If you have a Leo sun, this moon is in your 3rd house in your solar chart. So it's time to communicate, speak your pleasure. Find a supportive partner to help you fan your inner flame as you talk about your beauty, your harmony, what creates a glorious world for you. This is not a time to be going it alone for Leos. Virgo sun, that's me. This moon is in the 2nd. And so if you have a Virgo sun, it's time to enjoy the beauty of the material world. And that could be the natural world, like going camping or getting out into a park, or it could be putting on a beautiful outfit or playing with your cards or cooking yourself a beautiful meal, but really enjoy the beauty of being grounded in the physical world. And then release old work or health habits that put out your flame. Your Saturn's in the 6th here. So if there's work habits that are making you stressed, it's time to let go of those. Libra sun, the moon is in your 1st since you're a Libra sun. So explore your identity, create something new that lights you up inside, and enjoy a fun partnership. Libras really love to create, but they tend to get creating the same thing that's succeeded in the past. So it's time to branch out and try something new to create. For Scorpio sun, the moon is in your 12th. So enjoy your inner self. You may find there's fears and worries coming up here, but solitude, taking time alone, soothing your inner self will highlight that feeling of beauty that you have. And again, communication fiction for you is also building growth. So having the moon in the 12th is not an easy placement, and you may find that there's some things coming up that aren't so comfortable, but you're a Scorpio. You rock at things that are uncomfortable. Work through that and find the healing for that. Sagittarius sun, enjoy groups like this one. Yay, the moon is in your 11th. So it's time to tune your communication with groups to focus on your deep passions. I know Val has been doing that. She's got a Sag sun. And then finding your cosmic home. The Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is happening today. Actually, it's at its strongest, and it will still be going pretty strong by the time we get to this full moon. So those cosmic insights are definitely coming in, and they're going to be important for Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. If you have a Capricorn sun, the moon is in your 10th. So this cosmic communication, this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, is fueling information about how to create your career and legacy. So whatever it is that you're trying to create or build in the world, it's time to really be thinking about that and getting insights for that. And then it's time to let go of material world stuff. So a tidy up or a clean out your closet, clean out your refrigerator, organize your junk drawer, let go of material possessions that are not for you. And if you got an Aquarius sun, that means the moon here is in your 9th. So it's time to expand your boundaries, take a class, research something new, travel to a new place that you've never been, even if that's just a new place in your city or where you live that you've never been before. And you should be looking for synchronicities in the real world. So finding omens, signs, people calling you to refine your idea of what progress is. And then if you have a Pisces sun, the moon is in your 8th, which is another challenging placement. And this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction affects you because Jupiter and Neptune both rule Pisces. So this cosmic connection is going to enhance your shadow work. Don't be surprised if there are some really strong like insights coming up, or if you're getting some crazy messages, not really crazy, but like out there messages, you got to release the inner pain that this is causing so that your sacred flame can thrive. Okay, anybody have any questions about any of these or how it might affect them?
I am not seeing any questions.
Okay.
Oh, no. Elizabeth said it's right on. Right on.
All right. Good. Yeah. Okay. All right. We got one last analysis and then we'll move on to the ritual portion of things. So I did my my elemental analysis, since you guys have liked that. And we got a lot of water going on right now. And that's because we have, here's the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, which is big. This is going to be this is culminating today, as I say, but its effects are going to last like at least a week and maybe longer in your life. We also have Venus and Mars, which are all in the sign of Pisces. So that's a lot of sort of cosmic communications, spiritual flowing sort of energy. We've got Moon, a little bit of air here, a few things in air signs with Saturn and then Juno and Vesta. And then there's a good amount of Earth energy because we have this Taurus Mercury conjunction. So I said that we are in the realm of inspired and practical feeling. You're probably feeling a lot, but you want to make positive use of that. Don't just like get swept away by all the emotions. So on the air side, you want to feel into your own beauty and harmony and question any social messages that are like, that's not beautiful, that's not acceptable, nobody will love you if you're like that. Really, this is not the time to be thinking about that. The last Jupiter-Neptune conjunction was 166 years ago in Pisces. And it was a time of revolution and upheaval, right? The American Civil War, there were upheavals and revolutions in Latin America. This is a time to question standard advice and really branch out and figure out what we think about things. And on the practical side, the question is, how can you enact that practically today to feel beautiful and harmonious? So once you're thinking about what creates beauty and harmony for you, not pleasing everybody else, but for you, what's your plan to make that happen today? Like today I put on makeup, I put on something pink, I put on something blue, I put on a beautiful ring that my grandmother gave me when I graduated from high school with a peridot, right? What are you going to do to actually put that into practice and start creating this beautiful world for yourself? And I will let you know, by the way, that today's ritual, which we'll get to in a bit, is actually all about this. Okay, thoughts, questions?
Not seeing anything.
Okay.
It's so interesting that, well, Robin, I know that you're rubbing off on me, Robin. I know that you generally like to dress and to pull in the energies. And today, as I was picking out my outfit, I was like, I think I'll wear a gray shirt for the silvery moon. And I put this necklace on that I haven't worn in a long time for the moon. So I love using fashion and jewelry to pull those energies in as well, just probably because it's one of the easiest things I can do throughout my day.
Yeah, it makes a big difference for me. I've had days where I'm like, I just can't do it today. I just can't do it. And then I was like, all right, what astrology energies can I pull in? And then once I put on those clothes, I'm like, okay, now I feel more grounded in the world. Now I feel like I can do it. So the effect is real, folks. What you wear in terms of clothing and jewelry can help rebalance your energies to fit with the astrology that's going on. Wow.
Ooh, Elizabeth said she picks her crystal jewelry based on what she has happening that day. I like that.
Absolutely. So let's just take a moment and go back to that thing that you said you wanted to feel better about, right? I want to feel better about my star seed, interstellar soul. People want to feel better about their gender or their personality. And just ask spirit or your inner self, do you have anything to say to me about how I could feel more beautiful and harmonious about that? And if nothing comes to you, just say, all right, we'll table this conversation for when I'm on the exercise bike, when I'm cooking, when I'm in the shower. But we'll just ask spirit and say, I want to know how to create beauty and harmony in my own life around this aspect of myself. And if you get any answer, and you want to put it in the chat, feel free to do that. I'm receiving an answer right now, which I'll put in the chat in a second. All right. Okay, that's the end of my presentation for listening here.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Robin.
Okay, I'm typing the answer I got in the chat, and then I'm going to hand it off to Miss Valerie.
Just going to pause for a moment. Cool. Oh, I like that one. I'm trying to get some.
That's why I've been wearing the star earrings. I've been wearing these star earrings for 3 days because I'm like, all right, I feel weird about my starry self, but at least I could put on starry earrings, and maybe that will, like, you know, help me settle into that energy and own that energy. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Let's see. Okay, so this next portion of the event is how you can, now that you've been informed about what these energies are doing, how can you make these energies more personal, pull them into your daily life, or pull them into your moon rituals if you do moon rituals. And how I have shifted a little bit is it's not so much rituals, it's just kind of a list of activities that can help you tap into that Libra full moon energy. So with that, let's just go into this list of Libra, full moon in Libra activities. The first one I have is coloring or making mandalas. And why would that be related to a Libra activity? Because mandalas are all about symmetry and balance, and coloring and making it beautiful is that Venus energy. So just doing something as simple as pulling out a coloring book or printing off a coloring sheet from the internet and spending some time doing that can also be meditative. So you might also receive some messages while you're doing that, but it's definitely something that I consider to be a way to pull in the Libra activities. Brainstorm on a dream of yours with some trusted friends and families. That's pulling in that 7th house of relationships and the Uranus energy of brainstorming, trying to shake things up a bit. What else might you do? You could plan a romantic date to facilitate deeper conversations with a loved one or with yourself. For those of you who are single, please, please, please date yourself on a regular basis. That pulls in the Venus energy, Mercury for communication, and 7th house for developing those deeper relationships. Romantic date is because we like that Venus energy to make everything really pretty and just kind of laid back and calm so that you can have those deeper conversations that we talked about earlier, that now is a good time to do that with this full moon in Libra. Visit an art museum or an art show, or create your own art. Y'all know I like creating my own art, but sometimes it's nice just to see what art other people have put out there, to be receiving of the art that they are wishing to put out into the world. And that's that Venus energy, again, appreciating beautiful things. Balance your checkbook. Y'all, I don't know where that might be inspired. I don't know where that came from, but balance. It's a way to bring balance into your life in a practical sense to help you start feeling that balancing energy. And if you're like me, you probably long overdue to balance your checkbook or balance any other aspect of your life. But checkbook is always a good one. That's that Libra energy. Try out to be a tightrope walker at a traveling carnival. Get your balance on. Host a party for friends to celebrate spring. I really like that one because Libras are social butterflies. So even if you're not a social butterfly, maybe host a really small party with trusted friends. But if you are an extroverted social butterfly, definitely host a bigger party. But the whole idea is to tap into that social butterfly Libra energy, to put yourself out there more, to foster deeper relationships, all of those things that Libras are really good at. Allowing yourself to do so in a fun and celebratory way will make it a little bit easier. So that's what I have as far as activities that you might want to, I meant to say before I started, but activities that you might want to try out. And now I'm going to ask if you have any activities that, as you listen to my little brainstorming of activities, if you can come up with any activities that you might like to put in chat or mention as far as what you think will pull in Libra activities for you, pull in Libra energies for you. So that's what I have. Oh, look, someone said I created my very first one last night. Are we talking about mandalas? Mandalas? Ah, yay! Those are so fun, and they're a little bit addictive once you start. I love it. Christine says she's going to try tightrope walking. That's how I'm reading that. I love it. I love it. I'm just trying to go through the chat here. Good. Well, you guys have a lot of great comments on some of the ideas, and you're coming up with ideas of your own, hopefully. Yay. So I'm going to turn it over to Robin. Hey, if y'all go tightrope walking for real, even if it's a really low one, I want video. Please send me a video clip of that.
I will mention, apropos of tightrope walking. One of the things that I love to do to bring out my inner child is every time I see like a curb, like, you know, you're at the, like a parking lot and there's like a little curb, even if it's just like a 3-inch curb, I always walk across it. I always tightrope walk across the curb because it just makes me feel like I'm having fun like a little kid. So maybe that would be the gateway to actual tightrope walking. But I personally believe that anytime you do something like that and you're like, all right, spirit, here I am learning to improve my balance and harmony. Here I am walking down the curb at the park. I personally think that, like, I think spirit listens. I think your inner self listens. I think all those little actions that we take add up. So, and I love this list of activities. I think that's a really great thing, just to find something that says Libra to you, whatever that is. Yeah. Okay, as usual, I prepared something quite a bit more complex. And this particular ritual that I prepared actually has the simpler path and the more complex path. And I think I tried them both, and I find that they are both like equally effective. So don't like think you have to take the advanced path if your heart is really wanting you to do the simple path. Elizabeth mentioned, I've been dying to dance and skip in my fenced yard and I can't find a way to do it and let loose. So what I have found with things like that is that it's best for me to go in baby steps. So the first thing to do is for me to just visualize myself doing it. Right? And then, no, it's really baby steps. Step 1 is visualize. Step 2 is visualize myself doing it. And step 2 is to visualize myself enjoying it. And then step 3 is to put on the music in real life in my bedroom and then visualize myself doing it. And then step 4 is not to actually go into the yard. It's just to open the door, but dance in the house. Right? So that I have the energy of the yard, but I'm still inside. And usually at that point, you know, if it's a week or a few days later, I will then feel comfortable to go outside at like 1 in-the-morning and actually dance. You know what I mean? So just work yourself up in those small places. But even if all you do is visualize it, that still is much better than wanting to do it and then doing nothing. Yeah. So just thumbs up to you for that.
I'm going to add on to that. I totally agree. Your brain doesn't know the difference. Let that visualization be vivid enough so that your brain doesn't know the difference and your brain still reaps the benefits of you having done it. But I highly suggest you do it, Elizabeth, because I know you and you should really dance.
All right, so this ritual has multiple parts. I will stop. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have along the way as we go, because I want to make sure you guys all understand that. You're welcome to take screenshots, and then if you want to email me, I can send you a copy of the slides as well. That's perfectly fine. All right, we're going to dive into the history of magic squares. I've not done a magic square ritual for you guys, but they're super cool. And this is kind of what I got for today. Oops, sorry, I was wandering around. Okay. All right, so let's start with our sweet spot analysis to get us into the groove, help us set our intention. So I did high harmony and low harmony because Libra is all about harmony. And then I did low and high self-alignment. And the reason I did self-alignment is that we want to avoid falling into that Libra trap of like trying to please everybody else or do what society says is beautiful, right? In order to really make use of the highest level of Libra energies, you got to be in alignment with yourself. But it's no joke that Libra wants to be in alignment with the environment too. We're not abandoning that. We're just trying to find a way to fuse them. So if you find yourself in the low self-alignment and low harmony zone, this I titled Keeping Your Head Down. Like, you know, we just were talking about the part of you that wants to dance in the backyard. Like, good for you for knowing that, for even understanding that, right? But if you're like, well, I'm not going to do it because of whatever the people say, you're stuck in zone one. You know, like I maybe know what I want, or maybe I'm even afraid to figure out what I want. I don't even want to know what's going on. I'm in that zone a lot. I'm in number one, like kind of a sad amount of the time. There are parts of me that are very traumatized, and they're like, we can't show ourselves to anybody. We can't be honest. We can't tell people what's really going on. So yeah, so put a 1 in the chat if you relate to this. If you've been in that part where you're like, I can't deal with people. I can't even deal with myself. I'm just going to keep my head down. This is the part of you that wants to just stay in your den in the forest so that no predators can get to you. Put a 1 in the chat. And somebody can put my name in the chat with a number 1 next to it, because this is the zone I get stuck in. All right, now you might be doing a little bit better here. Better is a relative judgment, but I think it's better. If you're in alignment with yourself, but you're struggling on the harmony end, you might find that you're just doing your own thing. So like, you've accepted this about you and you're able to dance in the backyard. But, you know, maybe you're not really able to do it during the daytime, right? You only do it at night, or you only do it when you're sure nobody's watching. So put a 2 in the chat if you feel like this is where you are. You've accepted yourself, but you're not really bringing it out into the world and experiencing that sort of harmony, togetherness aspect of it. You might, on the other hand, be in the high harmony but low self-alignment. And I titled this Pleasing Others but Not Yourself. So you're pretty good, and I'm going to be harsh here, but you're pretty good at like playing the game, maybe putting on a facade. Like, you're a pro at putting on the right makeup that all the TikTok people say, or the YouTube people say is how makeup should quote unquote look. You know, like I'm, you know, over 40, and there are all these ideas about how women over 40 shouldn't wear glitter makeup or metallic makeup because it highlights your wrinkles. And I love metallic and shine and glitter, right? But it's like, okay, I'm good at fitting in. I'm good at being there for other people, but I don't feel like I'm really being my authentic self. So put a 3 in the chat if you're like, this is kind of where I am. And somebody can put my name with a 3 next to it, because I end up in this spot a lot as well, where I'm like, you know, with my family, I'm like nice to them and I do what they want and I try to be who they want me to be, but it doesn't really feel authentic. So the sweet spot that I feel like we're looking for, and you can choose your own sweet spot. So if you want to set a different intention, feel free, but this is what I chose. This is the high alignment with yourself and high harmony with other people who are important to you, which is enjoying and sharing your own aesthetic. I love to dance in the backyard, and I know a few other people who like it too. So we all come over and dance in the backyard together. Or I record videos of myself dancing in the backyard and I share it with them, and they record their videos and they send it to me. You know, I like to wear metallic makeup over the age of 40, and I love to post pictures of me in metallic makeup, and I don't care what other people think, because somebody's going to be encouraged by that. Where is that part of you that says, I love being this way. I accept this. I enjoy myself. I think I'm my own greatest gift. And I know how to share this with the people who are going to be encouraged by it. Not everybody is your audience, but there's somebody out there who's going to be encouraged by what encourages you. So just take a moment and think, which of these zones do I find myself in? And how do I feel about Robin's description of the sweet spot? Or do I want to figure out my own instead, which you totally could. So here's the ritual for today. Okay. Oh no, sorry. We have to look at the astrology. So we have this trine to Saturn that Valerie mentioned here. There's Saturn's the planet that looks like an H. The trine is a 120-degree angle, and that's going to be happening right on. The moon moves fast, so this trine is really pretty tight, like maybe April 15th and 16th, but really, like, it's really only happening on April 16th here. And then Saturn is also right next to Juno, which is the asteroid of partnership, romantic partnership, and Vesta, which is the fanning your inner flame. So that's why I said this. Let go of others to fan your inner flame. We've got the square to Pluto. Square are the red lines. You can see these are like 90-degree angles from the moon. And this is in Capricorn, and that's going to produce obstacles that strengthen your transformation. So if you hit some obstacles, don't decide that that's a sign that you're doing something wrong. Those are there for you to work through, overcome, go around to strengthen your transformation. And then, excuse me, as I said, we have this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. which is all about bringing in insight, cosmic messages, your spiritual connection, your higher self, the interstellars, whatever your connection is, unknowable intuition that you can't account for, but somehow it leads you in the right direction. There is a lot of that coming in right now. And so we're going to harness that for our ritual, which I titled Uncovering My Own Glorious World, or Your Own Glorious World. This is where we're digging in. We're using this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction to generate insight about the deep parts of ourselves that we can really bring back and learn to love and leverage to create a beautiful world for ourselves. Any questions about the astrology of this?
No, but I have to read you this comment.
Uh-huh.
From your box analysis, we have someone who said you'll figure out who it is, they are in box 1, but you've just convinced me I'm going to sign up for a drumming ceremony and sound healing event for the full moon that includes ecstatic dance. I'm putting it out there because I passed the last time and I don't want to pass on my life anymore.
Oh, wow. That makes me feel so like validated for doing these events and creating this analysis. And thank you to Spirit for inspiring us with all these great ideas. I'm so encouraged. And I love that. I don't want to pass on my life anymore. I think that's wonderful. Maybe you could report back to us on how it went. That would be amazing. I would love to hear about this. Yay. Okay. All right, on to the ritual. So the first thing we're going to do is leverage the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction by asking for some out of this world insight, looking beyond what you already understand, your current plan for yourself. Open yourself up to some new and crazy thing that you may not know how it's even going to affect you, but we're going to trust Spirit and our higher selves on the intuition that we're getting. The next thing we're going to do to give Spirit our communication options is lay out a 7x7 Venus magic square. Now, 7 is the number that's sacred to Venus, and a magic square is really just a 7x7 grid. And you can use any sort of cards that you want. I wanted to use my Lenormand cards, which I made from a drink box. You can see this is the back of the drink box, but I only had 41 cards, Lenormand cards, so I had to supplement them with a few tarot cards at the bottom. Any mixture of cards here is fine. This is literally playing on the idea of the Pluto square. Get it? Square, because it's a square. But we're also going to talk a little bit about the history of actual magic squares. So this is the simple version, is just to lay out a 7x7 grid. And then in your mind, you can number them starting at number 1 up at the top and then going for 7, 1 through 7, 8 through 14, et cetera, all the way down, right? Or you can, So once you lay out your grid, you're going to ask Spirit to identify 3 of these cards for you. And you can do it any way you want to. If you want to do a random number generator, there's one on this website, calculator.net, and you just set the low as 1 and the high as 49, because 7 times 7 is 49, and it will generate 3 numbers for you. You can close your eyes and just swirl your finger around and randomly point. Or if you have D&D lovers in the house and you have a 20-sided dice and a 4-sided dice, which I have, you can just roll those twice, and that will give you, it's 48, so you're missing the final card. That's what I did anyways, because I love my dice, I rolled my dice. So what you're going to do is then turn over the card numbers that come up. So if you get 1, 6, and 22, you're going to turn over the first card, the 6th card, and the 22nd card. Or you can use an actual magic square. If you want to read up more on the history of magic squares, you can. They're about 4,000 years old. They start out in China, then to India, then they filtered into the West. They're found in cathedrals, in places in Europe. And the really cool thing about a magic square is that this is the numbers 1 to 49. But every row and every column adds up to 175. That's the magic part. And our ancestors thought that an arrangement of numbers where they all added up to the same thing had special magical power. So this is the advanced version, the complicated version. If you want, and you got number 1, you could do the first card in your regular grid, or you could look up the magic square and realize that number 1 is actually this card down here at the bottom. And then number 25, wherever that one is, you can either count from the top, or you can hunt down number 20. There's 25 right above it, right here. Now you can take a picture of this if you like, or honestly, if you just type into Google Venus Magic Square, you can find many images of this, and they're all the same because of course the numbers have to add up. So however you want to figure out which cards it is, if you just want to number them from the beginning, or if you want to use an actual magic square, you're going to turn those cards over, and then I'll tell you how to interpret them. But I want to stop for questions. Does anybody have any questions about this so far?
I don't see any questions, but that is so cool. I've never even heard of that before, Robin.
Yeah.
Now I want to look it up.
I know. And there's one
Yeah.
for every planet, by the way. So every planet has a magic square, and you don't have to do the math and figure out your own, because starting 4,000 years ago, apparently the story is that the first person was inspired by a pattern on a turtle's back that he saw during a walk. So don't think that walking in nature is random, because you can come up with cool stuff walking in nature that people are still using 4,000 years later. Yeah. Okay. So once we've done that, here's how we're going to interpret the cards. And you should feel free to change these if you want. This is what came to me using the astrology, but if you want to do something different, you can. So the first number is the Saturn. What do I need to release? The second number is the Juno. What can I love that will love me back? And the third number is the Vesta, which is the sacred flame. What do I need to fan into flame? And then we're going to create a sigil using the shape of the cards. So the first card that I generated was 14, and I used the magic square method here. That was the crossroads. So I need to release being stuck at the crossroads. That's what came to me. I've got to pick a path and start moving down it and stop hesitating. The next one I generated was 13, and I got the upside down coffin. And so I decided that I need to love my shadow. I need to love letting go of things. I need to love endings. I need to love the part of me that's fascinated by death and other sort of taboo subjects. I think I need to do more 8th house work and really embrace this part of me. And then the final card I got was number 40, which was a tarot card, and that was the 7 of Cups reversed. So what I decided, the 7 of Cups has a picture of somebody turning their back on the cups. And so for the reversal, I decided I need to stop turning my back on the parts of myself that feel scary or unacceptable. I think I need to fan into flame, becoming somebody who accepts all parts of myself and stop picking and choosing at what's acceptable. So now the moon isn't for a few more days, so I'm going to give this time to percolate, but this is kind of my initial interpretation. And then what I did is I created a sigil using the shape of these cards. It's interesting because actually this relationship is a knighting relationship in the Normand, which is especially important. And then what I did with this sigil is I took a picture and I made it into the wallpaper on my phone. But you could write it down, you could draw it, you could put it on your refrigerator door or your bathroom mirror, or put a piece of paper underneath the insole in your shoe so that every time you step on the sigil, you're activating its power. Whatever it is that you want to do with the sigil, that will help you uncover your own glorious world. So that's the ritual. And I'm going to make use of these cards. I think I'll put them on an altar and do some Venus-y things. Really amp up the power to love and accept myself and feel more comfortable about these parts of me.
Hey,
all right, and then here's my, yeah.
We've talked about sigils a couple of times now in these rituals. Could you explain what a sigil is and how they work?
Sure. So a sigil is essentially a magically or power-infused shape. And there are all kinds of ways of making sigils. Many people make them by taking the letters out of a word and creatively combining the alphabet that's left, or channeling a random symbol. But the idea is that, this ritual has a bunch of magical power in it because we have a magical square and we're working with Libra energies and we're asking spirit for insight. And at the end of the ritual, you can just stop the ritual. You don't have to make a sigil, and that will be great. But the sigil sort of coalesces all of the intention and the energy and the power or the chi or the intention that you got from spirit. And it condenses it into an easy and simple shape that your brain recognizes. And every time you see this sigil, you're like, oh, right, I'm supposed to be loving myself more. Oh, right, I'm supposed to stop turning my back on myself. Oh, right, I'm supposed to get my butt out of the crossroads and actually start stepping down this path. So it sort of serves as like a cheat sheet, right? Or like a handy reminder or a symbol to your subconscious that's like, right, I need to get my butt in gear and actually do something about this. And that way the ritual doesn't just dissipate into the air and you're like, well, that was lovely, but now 2 days later, I've completely forgotten because I had to take my dog to the vet, and then I had to get my kid's shoes, and then we had a emergency room visit, and it's like everything sort of drifts away. It's a way of concentrating all your magic and your intention into something that can help that continue to be powerful for you after the ritual itself is over.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's one way to think about sigils.
Someone said it's like tying a string to your finger, like a reminder.
Yeah, or that rubber band around your wrist. Yeah, exactly. Right. It's exactly like that. Here's what I'm doing. And I like to put it on my phone because every time I power up my phone, the electricity in my phone charges the sigil. So that's why I put them on my phone, or you can use it as a wallpaper on your device, you know. So, and I want to mention that I just started a TikTok channel at Spirit Said Style, where I am leaving daily card reading tips. And in fact, I've just started a series, I'm going to post the first one today, of puppet videos where my puppets are having common challenges that card readers have, and they're counseling me through the challenge, or I'm counseling them through the challenge. I figure it's TikTok, so you have to have try puppet videos. But if you want daily card reading tips, you can follow me on TikTok and see what you think about those.
Awesome. That's exciting. Robin's on TikTok.
I know, I'm trying to get my butt out of the crossroads and start taking steps and start like showing up as my authentic self instead of just trying to be attractive to everybody all the time.
Love it. Y'all go follow Robin on TikTok.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, questions or thoughts?
I am not seeing anything in the chat. No.
Okay, and feel free to email me if you want a copy of these or if you have any questions after the fact.
What is the name of the TikTok? It is at Spirit Said Style.
Yep, and I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at the same handle.
You're welcome. Awesome. All right. All right. Well, we are going to wrap it up with a fan favorite, a meditation. We're getting back to meditations. So this is going to be a meditation that I'm going to try to finish before my very loud and excited grandkids get home from school. I just have to put that out there. But if meditation is not your thing, the guided meditations are not your thing, I want you to also think of this as just sitting back and listening to a story. Like when you were a little kid and you listened to a story and the teacher paused and your imagination told you what was happening next. Same thing. Let's make it easy. Because there is going to be a lot of guiding in this guided meditation. So whether you're thinking of it as just listening to a story or an actual guided meditation, I think you'll benefit from it. So let's let everyone get comfortable where you're seated. You can leave your camera on or turn it off, whatever feels good to you. And we're going to start by really settling in and relaxing and taking a deep breath and letting it out slowly. And as we let that breath out, we're relaxing our muscles, dropping our shoulders, just getting really comfortable where we're seated. Continue breathing deeply and slowly as we slow time down, slow our thoughts down, and just bring all of our attention to this present moment. Now I want you to imagine something that you've been thinking of for a while, a goal, something you want to accomplish, maybe something you want to set right. Think of that now. You don't need to know how to set it right. You don't need to know how to accomplish it. You don't need to know how you're going to get to this goal. Just hold this goal in your mind. Let it grow. Let it get bigger than even you initially imagined. And now I want you to picture this goal, this thing that you want to accomplish, as a destination. And you're going to go on a trip to reach this destination. And when you reach this destination, you will have completed and fulfilled your goal. But before you get there, you've decided that you're going to take a plane to reach this destination. You've packed your luggage and you are ready to head to the airport to get on your plane. As you approach the counter to check this big luggage bag, you notice that the person working the counter is one of your spirit guides. As you hand them your baggage, they tell you that your bags are overweight. You cannot get on the plane today until you reduce the weight of your bags. You take your bag with you and you step out of line, and your guide steps over to the side with you. You open your luggage and you decide which of those items you're going to let go of. Which of those items are you going to unpack and hand over to your guide so that you can lighten your load? So that when you put that baggage back on the scale, everything balances. Within your bag, you have some doubts, some regrets, some memories, some worries about the future, some items that you've taken on every trip but you never really use, items that are no longer serving you. Sit for a moment and see what you can unpack. How can you make your travels in this world lighter? What are you carrying around that no longer serves you? And what would you like to unburden at this time and hand over to your guide to handle? I'll give you just a few moments to think about that. Your guide lovingly takes these items that you feel you no longer need, things that you won't need for this trip, things that you've decided are not going to help you reach your goal. You close your bag back up. And this time, before you check to see if it balances, your guide lets you know that all of these things that you've packed, all of these thoughts and feelings and emotions, all of your baggage in this current reality, if you so choose, you can put it on the scale to see if it balances. Or you can simply leave all of it behind and take this trip to your new destination, knowing that whatever you need will be provided for you on the other end. It's up to you to decide what suits you best in this moment. Go ahead and decide if you're going to leave your bag behind or if you're going to check to see if it balances. Either way, your guide is supporting you. And you are now ready to take this flight to your new destination, to accomplish your goals, to fulfill your purpose, and to do so in a way where you don't feel burdened by anything that has come before or by anything that has yet to come to pass. You simply feel very aligned, very balanced, and very much in harmony with the goal that you have set out for yourself. Take a deep breath in and concentrate on really releasing anything that no longer serves you energetically. As you exhale those things that no longer serve you, and you mentally try to release the energy and the energetic signatures those have on your life, realize that the energy work comes first, and then wait for your physical world to slowly shift to reflect those things that you have let go of. Take one more deep breath in, show gratitude for your guides. See if you can feel that sense of feeling just a little bit lighter, a little bit more balanced and aligned. Final deep breath in, and when you are ready, you can come back to the room and join us back in this Zoom. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Hopefully you got a little bit of insights about what you can leave behind to give you a more balanced life as you move forward. Oh man, I just want to thank everyone for coming together, for all of your energies, for learning about the wonderful, glorious full moon. I hope you all take some of this with you into the full moon on 16th? The 16th. And work with these energies even between now and the full moon. Even though the full moon is a couple of days off, you can still start to pull in these energies and work with these energies and find your balance with it. I like that. Robin said she tried to leave everything behind and your guide said you had to bring some things with you. Awesome. Someone left their whole luggage behind and ran to the gate with the phone and ticket in hand. I love it. I love it. Yes, yes. Thank you. I'm glad you all enjoyed that meditation and or visualization, however you chose to enjoy it. The only thing I wanted to say is to let you all know what's coming up for Tarot Unicorns and Coffee. The next new moon, yes, new moon. Why does that sound off? Oh, because we had 2 new moons in April. That's why. We had a new moon on the 1st and we have a new moon on the 30th. Our next, Misha, have you been here the whole time? What's happening?
I was, oh my God, it's a thing. I apologize. No, I sent a message to the group page, the event.
Oh.
I was leaving the doctor and my Zoom won't work on my phone anymore. And so I can't even get to Zoom to not even just use Zoom, but not even get to the phone number to call in to listen to the Zoom, but not even be a part of the Zoom. So I literally just got home.
Okay. All right. I just didn't want, I just thought it was me and my having a senior
moment.
No,
oh, yeah, like, you know, I've been hanging in the waiting room for 90 minutes, girl. What the hell?
Stop it. Thank you. I'm glad you're here, Misha. I'm glad you're here, Sudhakar. I think I said that right. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced it. Thank you, Trudy. So we are at the end. We are wrapping things up. We didn't last the entire 2 hours this time. We just were able to complete everything in a little bit under 2 hours. This is recorded. Let's say goodbye so I can stop the recording. I'm just babbling at this point. I'm going to stop the recording.